A house is assessed for tax purposes at 55% of its market value. The residential property tax rate is 3 2/3% of the assessed value, and the tax on this house is $1,600. How much is the assessed and market value of this house? Let's try to visualize this question before we tackle it. So if we think of this entire strip as the market value of the house, or what it would sell for, then we look at this section over here, which is just over half, 55%, that's the assessed value of the house. Of that assessed value, we know that the taxes are 3 2/3% of this portion. We also know that this smaller portion has a value of $1,600. So we need to figure out both the value of the assessed value, so that smaller part, and the entire strip, or the market value. Let's start with the assessed. So we know the dollar amount of the 3 2/3% of 55%, so let's start by figuring out that bigger value. 3 2/3% of something is $1,600. Like we've done for a number of our previous problems, we know that this is equivalent to 1,600 divided by 3 2/3%. So if we divide 1,600 by 3 2/3, it will be easier if we convert this fraction to an improper one. This means if there are 3 wholes, there would be, in fraction form, 3 out of 3, or 3 threes, so 9, plus the 2 parts in the numerator make 11/3. So 1,600 divided by 11/3. Just like in our previous videos dealing with fractions, we know that this is the same as multiplying 1,600 by 3/11ths. So then we multiply numerator by numerator, so 1,600 by 3, and denominator by denominator, 1 by 11. This gives us 4,800 over 11, which we of course know is just another representation of a division. So that gives us a quotient of 436.36364. Now, what you'll notice is different in solving a problem like this is we have not actually yet dealt with the fact that 3 2/3 is a percentage. So 3 2/3 per 100. So we'll actually account for that per 100 now and multiply this quotient by 100. So that will give us 43,636.364. This is the assessed value of the house. Now we will use the assessed value to figure out the market value of the house. So we need 55% of something is equal to 43,636.364. Now, in the previous question, we didn't convert to the percentage per 100 until the final step. This time, let's do the calculation dealing with the per 100 percentage right away. So 55 per 100 is 0.55. Given the structure of this question we've seen before, we know that it is equivalent to 43,636.364 divided by 0.55. This gives us a quotient of 79,338.84364, meaning the market value of this house is $79,338.84. Now, this isn't the only way for us to solve this kind of problem. Let's take a look at the same question, but try and solve it algebraically instead. Our unknown variable is m for market value, but we also have a second unknown value, the assessed value. But if you remember from our graphic of the rectangle earlier, the assessed value is a portion of the whole market value. That means that we can represent the assessed value as 55% of m, which we know to be 0.55 m. Remembering that if we have our variable right up against a number like that, it means we're going to multiply. Now, the other information to consider is the 3 2/3% of taxes. Since we've already divided the 55% per 100, we'll do the same with the 3 2/3. The value of 2/3 in decimal form, or 2 divided by 3, is a number of repeating sixes. It is not a terminating decimal, meaning it will continue forever. So we will eventually need to round it, and for the purposes of this question, we will round the value of 3 2/3% to 0.03667. Now, it is important to keep in mind that we rounded our values much earlier in this version of our solution, and that will likely have an impact on some of our final values. But they should be pretty close. Let's find out. Given all this information we've got, we can put together an algebraic statement to represent 3 2/3% of the assessed value being $1,600. So in algebraic form, that'd be 0.03667 times of 0.55m, the assessed value, is equal to 1,600. We want to figure out the cost of the market value. So first we will divide each side by the 0.03667 to account for the taxes in the equation. That will give us 0.55m being equal to 43,632.99705. If you remember back to our original statement, we said that 0.55m is the assessed value, and so this is the assessed value of the house. Now we can figure out the market value. So we want to know the value of 1 whole m. So we will divide 0.55m by 0.55 to figure out what 1 whole is worth. We will do the same on the other side of the equation to find that the value of m is $79,331.631. This means that the market value of the house is $79,331.63. You'll notice that this answer is about $7 different from the one that we found in the first solution. This is due to the fact that we rounded in different places during the calculation. These roundings all had an impact on our final value, and once we got to a number in the tens of thousands, it had about a $7 impact. Well, this shows us that the decimal place really can have an impact on our calculations. In this case, the $7 difference on something that's 79,000 is not a huge deal, but it is important to keep in mind that rounding will impact your final answer, and in this case, the value of your house.